This is step 4 for your apple drawing. For this step, you will need your art book with your apple drawing, and you will need a green, red, and yellow crayon. Please use crayons, no markers for this step. So green, red, and yellow crayons. What you're going to do now is you're going to color in your apples. So depending on the word you wrote. So if you wrote just red or green or yellow, if you just picked one word, then you're going to go over that apple with that color. So this is my red apple, R-E-D, red, and I'm going to go ahead and color over that. So when you're coloring, try your best to stay in the lines. What I like to do is I like to go around the edge first and around the stem. And if you have to move your artwork around to make it easier for yourself, go ahead. I like to do the edges first just to make kind of a wall so that I don't get out of my lines. I'm extra careful. Same around my stem. I'm going to save my stem for the brown crayon in another step. And then I'm going to go ahead and color in the middle. So I used the word red, and I'm using a red crayon. Now with this step, there's also some pictures posted, some images posted on your this week's folder of some examples of apples that are red, yellow, and green, but also the ones that are mix of colors. So red, yellow, or red, green, things like that. So you can look at those for examples. So that's coming into my next apple. I'm going to have a red, yellow apple. I used 2 words, and that was an option to use 2 words. So red, yellow, and then I also have a green, red, and some of you might have a green, yellow too. So what I'm going to do is, just to help me, I'm going to find where my red ends, and I'm going to draw lightly a line, really lightly drawing a line. Barely see it, can barely see it. Drawing a line around where my red is going to go. And I'm going to go ahead and color that red area where the word red is. Again, going very carefully around the edges first and around the stem first. And then I'm going to go ahead and just go over that letter red, that word red, going over the letters. And then I'm going to move on to my next color, so that would be yellow. And then I'm going to go over the yellow. So here's a little trick, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better. And what I want you to do, if you've mixed 2 colors, is I want you to just a little bit go over the edge, go over a little bit of your red along the edge of the red-yellow border when they're just right next to each other. This is just a little bit of blending, and this is why I want you to use crayons for this step. Because if you use markers, that's going to ruin your yellow marker, and it's a little harder. You can't blend too well with your markers. So just a little bit of blending. And then I'm going to go ahead and go along the edges of my apple first, my yellow apple. and then finish coloring in the rest of it. Again, we'll save our stems for another step. Okay. Alrighty. And then I have another example. I have my red green. So I'm going to start with my green and I'm going to work my way across. So again, I'd like you to just really lightly just map out, where does my green end and where does my red begin. So I just have a little spot that's going to be red right there. You can kind of see my teeny tiny, very light line. I don't want to make it too dark, make it stand out too much. So I'm going to go back in with my green. I'm going to get the edges just along the edge right here. And go back up here and get along the edge. Ooh, goes all the way over here. I'll go around my stem. Going over the letters that represent the word green. I'm going to do right here. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and color in the middle of my green apple. It's a very green apple. Alrighty. Making it nice and solid, doing my best to stay in the lines. Okay, so I have a little bit of red left. So I'm going to take my red crayon and do kind of the same thing. I want you to go over the edge a little bit, kind of mix, blend your green and your red. Just a little bit, just to kind of show a little bit of blending with your crayons. Then go around the rest of the edges. So again, this is, I don't want you to do exactly what I'm doing. I want you to get to have a chance to choose. But this is just in case you mixed your color, or you used two colors in your apples, and just demonstrating what an idea of what we're going to do. Some of you might have just colored all your apples yellow. Cool, that's fine. That is fine with me. But hopefully watching this whole video first before you start. Okay, so there are your apples. This is step 4, coloring in your apples. Thanks for listening, friends, and have fun.